In Egypt, the Israelites toiled as slaves, their hope nearly extinguished by Pharaoh's cruelty. Their cries rose from the clay pits, prayers for deliverance in a land that seemed deaf to suffering. Into this darkness, Moses emerged, a man raised in Pharaoh's palace yet called by God to free his people. He confronted Pharaoh with a simple demand: "Let my people go." Pharaoh's heart was stone, and Egypt suffered 10 devastating plagues. Only after the final, most terrible plague did Pharaoh relent, allowing the Israelites to flee. In haste, they left behind 4 centuries of bondage, carrying only what they could. They marched out of Egypt, no longer slaves, but a people set free by faith and a promise. Their journey had just begun, but the night of their oppression was finally over. The exodus from Egypt was not just an escape, it was the birth of a nation. Freedom was sweet, but danger followed close behind. Pharaoh's regret turned to rage. He unleashed his chariots to reclaim his slaves. The Israelites, trapped between the Red Sea and the advancing army, were gripped by fear. They cried out to Moses, "Why bring us here to die?" Moses stood firm, declaring, "Do not be afraid, stand still and see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." The Egyptian army thundered closer, the sea blocked their escape, and panic threatened to overwhelm them. Yet Moses' words offered a fragile hope. "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." The people faced an impossible choice: surrender to fear or trust in a miracle. At the edge of the world, faith was all they had left. The night was thick with dread, but a promise lingered in the air. The fate of a nation hung in the balance. Deliverance would come from the most unlikely place. As darkness fell, the pillar of cloud moved between the Israelites and the Egyptians, shielding them from harm. God commanded Moses, "Raise your staff over the sea." Moses obeyed, stretching his hand over the water. A mighty east wind howled through the night, driving the sea apart. Walls of water rose on either side, revealing a path of dry ground. The impossible had become reality. A corridor through the heart of the sea. The Israelites stared in awe, caught between terror and wonder. The way forward was open, but the true test of faith was about to begin. Dawn revealed a miracle, a path where none had ever been. Moses led his people into the parted sea, the walls of water towering above them. Step by step, they crossed the seabed, leaving slavery behind with every footfall. The Egyptians, blinded by pride, charged after them into the miraculous passage. Chariots thundered, but the ground turned treacherous, wheels mired in mud. As the last Israelite reached safety, God commanded Moses once more. Moses stretched out his hand and the wind ceased. The waters crashed back, swallowing Pharaoh's army in a torrent. Not one pursuer survived. The sea became their grave. On the far shore, the Israelites stood in stunned silence, free at last. The threat was gone, and a new chapter had begun. The collapse of the sea was swift and final. Pharaoh's mighty army was destroyed, their chariots shattered beneath the waves. The Israelites watched as the waters returned to calm, the evidence of their deliverance washing ashore. The greatest power in the world had been defeated, not by force but by faith. The people's fear melted into awe and gratitude. They looked to Moses with new respect, and to God with unshakable trust. The memory of slavery faded as the reality of freedom took hold. They had crossed not just a sea but the threshold into a new identity. The impossible had become their story. Their journey would echo through generations. On the shore of their deliverance, joy erupted. Miriam led the women in song and dance, tambourines ringing out across the sand. "I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. Horse and rider he has hurled into the sea." Their voices rose in a chorus of gratitude, celebrating not their own strength, but the power that saved them. The story of the Red Sea crossing became a symbol of hope for all who feel trapped and powerless. Faith, they learned, is not the absence of fear, but the courage to move forward when the way seems impossible. The lesson endures. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is to be still and trust that a way will be made. On the far shore, a new song began, a song of freedom, faith, and deliverance.